Welcome to another unauthorized and unreviewed run in the sharky waters around the Gatsby Islands with Gatsby deep diving queen Raae.
If I live,
I started Friday, no?
Yeah.
And her Gatsby pirates.
Jag vill ha lite black.
Paul. Hello, Paul.
Hello. Yes, hello.
And me, Ola, and I proudly present the great and powerful Kyle Mathews of Gatsby.
Woohoo! Hello, Kyle.
Ooh, oh, I was muted.
Curious.
So, are we ready for this? And welcome back, Kyle.
Yeah,
You've been on before.
Yeah.
Yes, my third time on the show.
Second, I think.
Oh,
And everybody loves your Wi-Fi password in the back there.
Yeah.
Ula.
Yeah. Today's tiny task will be fix our V4 thumbnail issue.
Or more specifically, use create node field is our tiny task.
Okay. And remember to like and subscribe, folks.
Please do.
So let's. But before we start coding, let's talk a little. So Benedicte, do you have any signups for the boot camp?
I don't. Well, I
Yes,
do
you-
have. I do have 4 sign up for. I haven't had any new ones since the last show. No, so I have 4 people, and we are already hanging out in the forum, and it's a lot of fun. The official start of the boot camp is Saturday, so you can still join by going here. Here. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. And then Kyle.
Yo.
Have you...
Yo.
Yo. So yeah, I'm not sure.
What's happening?
I don't really have a question.
How are you? Kyle, how are you?
Yes,
You all right?
you do. You have a have you done anything fun at Gatsby this week?
Yes.
That's the question.
Fun, yeah.
Oh, it doesn't have to be fun. Interesting. Fun.
Well, I fixed. Well, it's not quite fixed, but I fixed a weird bug.
Yes.
So that was kind of fun. It's where
What was it? Yeah.
the site, it's like the site is running, and then you add a new page type kind of on the fly, and then it was crashing, and now it doesn't crash. So
Yeah.
Well
Yeah,
done. Nicely done. Nicely done, Kyle.
yeah, they just started this one site that had this weird, this thing they weren't using, and they started using it. Anyways, here,
That's good.
yeah. Not very
I do we have this creepy eyes over here. It's Halloween time. It's a little bit of a Halloween. Oh, over here. Yeah.
So
And then we can also ask Paul, because Paul is, as we all know, at Gatsby now.
Correct.
So have you done anything fun?
Yes, yesterday and today I have been, what's the right word? Attending the Contentful Fast Forward conference and in the Gatsby booth. So it's over now, but you could have popped along to ask questions about how to use Gatsby and Contentful. And some people did. And it was ever so nice to meet you all and speak to you and answer some of your questions as best I could.
Okay.
good.
Yes.
How were you dressed, Paul?
What,
Did you wear? I guess the
tuxedo, obviously.
You're supposed to wear bikini, didn't you know?
in the boot.
In the booth. You're supposed to...
Paul doesn't do that, but I will be sad if you didn't wear your purple velour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to wear that tonight, and I forgot, and I, crime of crimes, didn't even wear a Gatsby hoodie in the Contentful booth.
Oh.
I think.
I mean, Kyle, you need
Don't
to like
put that on my
shape it up
performance
here.
review, Kyle.
Were you rocking that cool sweater though? I like the
Yeah.
sweater a lot.
Yeah. I was. Yeah, this is. I was wearing this not both days, but most of my clothes are just black jumpers. So it's sort of slightly different black jumper yesterday.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I love how our show has become like the fashion show.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I mix it up. You two have decided on your streaming costumes.
Yeah, I'm
We've
like,
commented
this
on
is
them one, and that's it.
Yeah, every time. I have new glasses though.
Oh, they're very nice, Benedict.
Yeah.
I found my question for Kyle now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's so the tiny treasure deep down at the bottom of the Gatsby JS V4 treasure trove. That is your personal favorite.
My personal favorite. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff. Yeah, I think kind of the core piece that's like really interesting is to me is like LMDB, which is
the what?
Yeah.
LMDB.
LMDB.
Yeah, LMDB.
Another acronym.
Well, this one. Well, okay. It is. I guess it is an acronym. It's like Lightning.
Memory mapped database, is it?
Yeah,
Lightning memory mapped database.
Oh, it's the new thing. It's
Lightning
mapped
database. Yeah.
You switched out. You used Redux or something.
Yeah. So previously, data, like the Gatsby DB, sort of thing, like kind of like we pull in data from wherever and normalize it and put it into a database. That was just all in memory, which meant that it didn't scale very well to very large sites because like there are sites that have like gigabytes of data that we're handling and so on. So anyways, so instead of being in memory, we moved it to LMDB, which is like a special kind of database. It's called like an embedded database, which means that it's sort of like inside your node process. It's very simple to run versus a lot of databases like MongoDB or MySQL or Postgres. They're sort of like you talk to them over the network, but they're a lot harder to like sort of embed into your applications. So SQLite is a much more common example of this sort of database, but LMDB fit our needs even better because it's actually quite a bit faster than SQLite, and it's like simpler. And anyways, there's a lot of really nice properties about it. And so that's kind of like, to me, the big change and sort of the underlying magic that makes everything else possible in V4. Because like what it let us do is by moving data out of memory, out of the process into this embedded database, it means that now like other processes, like other node processes, like kind of like worker processes, we can spin them up to do more work. So what we're running into a lot is that a lot of like builds were slow because we only had one CPU that was kind of running at a time to do different work. But with this, we can now share like kind of the data across different things. So like you can have as many processes as you have CPUs that are like working. So which makes things a lot faster is kind of the end result. So anyway, so there's like PQR, like parallel query running. There's like DSG, but all these things are made possible by sort of the move to LMDB and like getting the data into kind of an external database that we can move around. So like DSG, for example, what it does is after,
I was going to ask that. Does that access this new database?
Yeah. So with V4, if you look at like .cache/data store, I think, or data/data, whatever. Anyways, .cache/data something. There's now actually a file in there that has all your data for your build. It's like an LMDB, kind of like a single file database type thing. Anyways, so when a build finishes in Gatsby Cloud, we take that file and then we copy it out to our functions. And then we also then copy out, the query engines, like how we run GraphQL queries, and then also like the page rendering aspect. And so those three things then can then respond to requests live and generate your pages kind of later in the process. But what's cool though is that it's it's all the same thing because like we've it's still like sort of like all running the same atomic process. Like we just sort of moved the query time from, you know, on the, like kind of like as part of the build to sort of moving it towards later towards like kind of like on demand query. But the output is always exactly the same because like when the data updates, we sort of like create a snapshot of that. It's like at this point in time, this is what the data looks like. This is what the code looks like. And then we can run queries. We can generate the HTML either then or in the function. It's all like always the same whenever and however we generate.
So what you're saying, if you run a build and you have a page that you've set to defer and nobody hits that for like 3 months and it's never rebuilt, you're still gonna get the data that was built on build time. So you know what it's not gonna suddenly change on you because the API is down. Like when you built the site, if it hit some API, you got that data then, and then 3 months later, it's still that data. And if that API is down, you still have that data, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this has always been like sort of the guarantee that static sites give you is that it's like whatever happens forever, it's like it's fixed. It's like whatever you got, you got. And this sort of, but the downside of that was like, well, you have to do all the work up front. What this lets us do is like maintain that sort of guarantee that like if it works at build time, it's always going to work. But then sort of like defer, you know, work towards later. So sort of like anyway, so it just makes like anyways, this is the property that we really want, just like very deterministic builds and like atomic deploys, so that things always work kind of like precisely the way we expect them to.
And I must say, like that is one of the things. Like it says, I've been doing a lot of like side and fun projects, and I did WordPress way back when. And like if you did something for somebody, you knew that somebody was going to call you and be like, oh, it's gotten hacked or it's not, like something is wrong. But now I have some of these side projects that I did even before, I think, like, well, when Gatsby was like very new, and I did my own kind of Jekyll Angular combo, which was like my kind of, so it was statically generated, but then it was like rehydrated with Angular, I guess. And it's still running. And I don't think, like, it's still up on Netlify and it's still running. I don't know if anybody ever visits it, but it's not like suddenly it breaks because those endpoints aren't there anymore or, whatever. And that is really cool, especially for those kind of like fun projects where like you don't want to, you just want to make sure that it's still running and not be sure that the API endpoints you're using are still accessible and your token is still valid or whatever, because
exactly. Yeah. So it's like
they changed their API 4 times since then. So
exactly. Yeah. Kind of the idea is like whatever you can move to build time, do it. And preserve as much sort of like determinism in the process as possible. And that's what DSG is, sort of really finesses that. It's like we now can like do the minimum amount of work at build time. So like build is as cheap as possible, but still retain sort of this deterministic, like your data is what it is. And APIs can like change or go down or whatever, but it's going to stay the same until you kind of like update it.
But so now future thoughts. Will then this I had to write it down, LMDB kind of be bundled so that you could do kind of fun stuff with it in the front end, like with just your front end code? Could you like query your LMDB?
So that's a direction we want to get to. Where the idea is like you'll be able to like run arbitrary queries against the DB.
Yes, if you have some kind of filtering or you want to do some kind of like where the user gives you some kind of input and then you want to give them the movies that are action. Since we somebody said Lightning movie database for LMDB.
Exactly. That's always been the idea of Gatsby. It's like, hey, what if you could just like create a database on the fly from whatever random set of data that you want to pull into your site, and then make it easy to generate pages and whatever. But usefulness of that sort of database has always been limited by the fact that it disappears once the build is done. You're like, well, cool. Like now we have this like sweet, we have all our data, we have the sweet API, and now it's gone. Like it was fun while it lasted, you know. It's like you gotta enjoy things while they last. Anyways, but but the idea is that then you kind of like get the same sort of like rich, easy access to your data, but at runtime.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. That would be because I remember you called it the content mesh for a while. That was like a marketing term. I haven't heard it in a while, but that is what like I really
take it easy on marketing. All right.
but like for me, that was one of my my epiphanies with Gatsby was like, oh, so I can just like, as you said, I can just pull in data from like all kind of crazy sources, but then I get a unified front that I can build from. And as like a one-person developer, you maybe don't see kind of the benefits of that, even though I do that just because I really enjoy structure. But not everything. But if you're a larger team, I think like then more backend people can work on pulling everything in, and then front-end people can work more on like getting things out in like a unified way. Yeah. So the content mesh concept, I really enjoy that, but as you said, I want access to that content mesh, I guess, or that
all the time. I mean, and the value really gets into like when you're stitching together sort of like common stuff, because then if you're using like WordPress or Drupal or Contentful or a whole bunch of different stuff, there's already like really battle tested plugins which do a great job of kind of pulling stuff in. And so then it's very simple to just sort of like, we need a blog. Let's just spin up WordPress, and then bam, 4 hours later, it's all running. And off you go.
Yeah. And I can foreshadow, as I said to you in the pre-stream, for next stream, everyone, I am going to try to make our YouTube descriptions Markdown and see if I can get them into our data layer as Markdown, because then we can use all of the Markdown transformer plugins on the YouTube description, which I haven't seen anywhere. So I hope I can make it by next week.
Yeah.
But some of the work we're doing today will actually help me in understanding how I should do this in the coming week. So I hope folks are excited about that as me. It's like very geeky. It's like, oh, I'm going to write Markdown in my YouTube description. But, everyone has different types of fun. So, maybe we should start coding a little bit. Or, are you?
Yes, I say, let's go.
Let's go. Good one. And he says, no, let's go. I love Markdown. Yeah. I just, I want that appreciation up there. Yeah. So maybe, Paul, do you want to explain, do you want to explain what hasn't been working with our version 4 migration? Because the folks who are here every week might have realized that we haven't merged any PRs for a really long time. And why is that?
Yeah, it might help me explain it if you can give me some code screen, and if you can take me to Gatsby node, I can point you at.
I just thought you could say very high level what didn't work, and then we can show the code.
But I want to show code. What didn't work at the very...
Give people some context, Paul.
So the context is when we were sourcing images from the YouTube API, they only exist as strings until we did something with them, i.e. download them and turn them into files. And only when they're files can we run the Gatsby plugin image goodness on them, because they need to exist on disk. But the way we were trying to transform or modify this node was we were basically directly mutating it. And so in Gatsby 4...
I'm sorry I didn't prompt you correctly, Paul. I just wanted you to say that our thumbnails weren't showing.
Oh, right. I see. Right. Yeah, that.
Like,
that's basically that's the problem.
What didn't work?
So you wanted a back rub. I gave you brain surgery. I'm terrible. Sorry.
Yeah.
The thumbnails weren't working.
Our problem, our problem is in dev. In dev, we have gotten thumbnails often, but not always. And then when we've been building the site, like here I've done build, as you might see, since it's localhost 9000, there are no thumbnails. And this worked before our migration to version 4, but it turns out that somebody was a little naughty and used undocumented features that are no longer working in version 4. So we are going to fix that today. Now you can do your brain surgery.
Are you implying that I'm the naughty person that used undocumented features?
I mean, queens never do anything wrong, so...
Yeah, so basically I was directly mutating a node that I shouldn't have been, and perhaps in V4 or Gatsby 4, it's slightly stricter, and it's actually doing its job correctly, which is you shouldn't do it like this, and that's why we're seeing no thumbnails. But we do have a fix, and with a bit of luck, we can get this working today. I will need you to run a clean though, Benedicte, before we do anything. I can see that cheeky little cache folder in there. I don't want that.
But so I've highlighted the code here. So if you want to talk about, if you and Kyle want to talk about what you mean by directly mutating the node, you can do that while I do clean.
Yeah. So
and now I just covered it like 2 seconds.
Image
there we go.
It doesn't exist on node, so we just made it by saying node.image equals the result of whatever create remote file node is, whereas really what we need to be doing is finding out what the result of create remote file node is, which is actually going to be a downloaded image, and then creating a file node using one of Gatsby's helper functions, and that's kind of the correct way to do it. And so we were doing it incorrectly. And I think, like I said, I think V4, Gatsby 4 is slightly stricter, and it won't let us do that, which is why.
So would you say that, Kyle? Is it stricter, or did you just clean up some stuff and now it doesn't work anymore?
This more consistently doesn't work. Like there's always mutating nodes seemed like it would work more of the time before V4, where now in V4 it very consistently doesn't work. Though it does actually still work a little bit of the time. So it's sort of like
in depth.
It works 75% of the time. Now it only works like 10% of the time. But yeah, it's kind of been a foot gun that didn't necessarily blast off your foot in the past.
What is that film where they quote 99% of the time it works every time? That was sounding very similar to what you just said there, Kyle.
Yeah, maybe a little
Anchorman.
But anyways, yeah.
I think it's just let's go with like Gatsby 4 is going to encourage you to do it in the correct fashion and
okay,
doing it in the correct fashion.
But it doesn't throw any errors, so you're not getting kind of any error messages that you're doing anything wrong, but you will see like faulty. And I don't think that we were the only ones doing it, because I've talked to people upgrading, and several plugins have had problems with images. So I think maybe
the
quite a few.
Yeah, Gatsby source Contentful did.
And I think Sanity did as well. I don't quote me on that, but yeah.
You click on the imager link I put into the private chat. This is we're going to add a warning fairly soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. The message won't be quite like this. This is just a kind of a quick prototype somebody did.
I like it though. Mutating node is a no-no.
Yeah. You're like, oh, that's what I said.
And it looks like the movie was Anchorman. Could that be true? Oh, Paul is not here.
That's too late.
He is so nervous about that he's that he just left the building. No, but that is really good. And I must say that I feel like error messaging and like helpful messages like this have been coming out more and more with Gatsby since like the first times I've used it, obviously, because it's becoming a more mature platform. Because now it's like, the messages are nicer and more of them, which is good stuff.
This sort of stuff is like, we don't want it to be like, I mean, it is a little bit difficult to learn the patterns, but warnings can like at least like they have nice guardrails, means you kind of like veer off the path, but then you'll hit something, you're like, oh, I guess I can't go that way, and then you'll like kind of like randomly go back on the path. Until then, eventually you just learn, you learn how to do it well enough to follow the path.
But since Paul is suddenly away, maybe you want to YOLO talk me through this. So how do I change it from directly mutating the node to not directly mutating the node?
Okay, so create remote node or create remote file node just returns a file node.
Oh, sorry.
so-
I'm trying to find. I have a little bit of problem here. When I change to browser in one window, then it changes everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
There
So
we go.
If you just change node.image to const file node equals that.
So const file node. So now we didn't put it onto the node. We're just creating it.
Yeah, and then just do a console.log file node just so we see what we're getting. And we can run that.
Oh, I didn't run the, I just did the clean. So we're not in develop yet. Oh, I should probably, let's see, how many videos are we asking for? Let's do max result of 10, because that, or 5. That will make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, okay, actually, yeah, it finished pretty quickly. So you can see now so if you scroll up in the terminal.
Yeah, there we have one of those files.
Yeah. So yeah, so it downloads, it's downloading them into in the .cast folder. But then it exposes the information for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So now if you want to look up the docs for create file or create
node field.
No, thank you.
Since you were gone, I just asked Kyle to walk me through.
No, I like
preparation.
it. Let Kyle go. He knows it better than I do.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, now my computer is like, I don't want to.
Oh.
There we go. No, create node field. Come on. There we go. So it takes the node and it takes the name, I guess, of the field and then the value.
Yeah.
So if I just copy paste that, then I'm guessing we need, I'm going to guess node, and then we want image here now, since it's, so that instead of dot image on the node, we say name image, and then the value should then be that file node.
So
or not.
Paul, did you use this plus a resolver to?
So I just used file node.id, so I can get the ID straight off the file node and
Yeah.
use that as the value.
Yeah, and then
Okay, so you don't add the whole kind of node. You just add the ID for the nodes, and those are hooked up later.
Yeah, file node.id.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
should this already work?
You might need to destructure create node field from actions, which is in the function.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we will need to modify the GraphQL type at the top, then create schema customization.
Okay, so here we did something fun. We said, okay, we have a node and there should be an image on it, and that image should be of type YouTube image, and that type is an URL file link by blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so
we don't need to do it.
You can get rid of the type YouTube image. So you can delete from 16 to 18.
Okay.
And then instead of that image being of type YouTube image, it's going to be of type file.
Yeah.
And then we can link it. So it'll be @link, and then open close parenthesis, and it'll be from : and then fields. Did you call it image? It should be fields.
Yeah, I called it image.
Yes. Yeah,
okay, so we are saying, so what are we saying here? I don't understand this.
One quick thing. Just scroll back down to the bottom. I don't think this makes any difference, but it might be easier to explain. Did you call it file node or image? Like we
call it file node, and then we call it name image.
Okay.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't matter much, but basically the new field type we're creating is called image, and we're linking via the file node ID, and the file node comes back from create remote file node, which is
this one.
so that is a remote URL. You can see it there, snippet.thumbnails macros.url. But we create the remote file node, which then will come back as an actual file, because at this point it's a string. And that's kind of the issue that we had before, is that a URL to an image to us is an actual image. But
yeah, because what we're getting back is this like blob here with lots of information.
Yeah, and all we're basically now doing is just saying, look, that node field that we've just created, we're going to link to it via, and if you scroll back up to the top, we're going to link to it via the
fields image.
.image. Yeah, so that's what we've called it.
But is this image, could we call them two different things, or do these have to be the same?
It could be anything.
Yeah, it's just you're going to have to go back and change a couple of things in the actual GraphQL query, and then later on when we use Gatsby image, if we leave it like that, all we'll have to do is
the question was more
URL.
Because we have image here and image there. Are they tied together?
No, it's just like the only thing. So basically, you're saying on the YouTube type, add a field called image, but then after the colon is like, it's where you're telling GraphQL like how what it is. So the first thing you're saying is like, well, this field image is of type file. And then the second thing you tell it is, well, how do you figure out which file it is? And then then you're just saying link to it from this other thing.
Okay, I think I understand.
If we want to make this really clear, should we, when we create the file node, let's call it Kyle.
So it's all
just to make it clear.
So there, you want to say name Kyle?
Yeah, and then we can do fields.Kyle. That will work, won't it, Kyle?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and then we keep this image. Yeah, that was what I was getting at. Like, where is this? So we can still now use the whatever YouTube node .image, but that looks for field and hooks up to fields.Kyle as a file. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Now it wants to. We need to restart.
I think it'll also be clear once you look at GraphQL, because then we can like
see Kyle.
We'll see Kyle, but then we'll also see.
Well, this might error
the image.
Well, we'll see.
This will probably error because in our thumbnails list, we're looking for image.url, and that doesn't exist anymore. So it will just be image.childimage_sharp.
Oh, so we've been okay. But let's look at the GraphQL Explorer, and then we can, just so my mind is understands this, like Kyle versus image fields here,
okay,
or params or keys or whatever we want to call them. But I think this is going to take some time, and I know there was a question from John in the chat. Do you want to take that now, Ola? Can he hear me?
Here is a question from our resident artist, John.
Read it out loud, Ola.
All right.
Oh, I see.
Okay, I'm gonna make. Don't be offended now, John. This is your voice. Can LMDB make a big difference to clients that use Drupal CMS, where manipulation with large files often makes more sense for site builds to keep this in Drupal? Would now run better in Gatsby Cloud.
So I'm assuming you're referring to image manipulation. That actually hasn't changed too much. So this was like a year and a half ago. One of the first things we launched with Gatsby Cloud was support for doing image processing, like parallelizing image processing. And so what we do actually when you run a build with image processing, like with Gatsby plugin Sharp and Gatsby Cloud, is we offload the images to workers and then do the processing in kind of in parallel. So it's much faster than it would be otherwise. Well, LMDB, so LMDB doesn't change that so much, but what it does like help with, like, say Drupal is just like uses like less memory, I guess, is one thing that's really helpful. Because now instead of holding all of the data from the CMS, in memory, a lot of it's just like on disk in the database. And then also it helps, run queries a lot faster. So, we actually migrated a large Drupal site to Drupal plus Gatsby. It's like PSU News site, and it has something like 65,000 pages and 700,000, kind of Drupal entities that we're processing. And query running took like, what was it? 7 or 8 minutes or something like that, just to run all the queries for every page. But with this, it dropped it down to like 60 or 70 seconds because we could like parallelize it across all the different queries. So that's the sort of the speed up you'll see on LMDB.
So that's the thing you're going to show us later, right? The Penn State thing. Yeah. So that is Drupal. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, I have bad news. I'm going to share my screen again. I have too many windows open.
John found your page, Kyle. He found it.
Oh yeah.
He already signed up for it. Well, he maybe probably already signed up for it in advance. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying. I have too many windows open. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. So I'm getting null for the image.
I can't see it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I do have the
So you want
fields.
so you want all nodes image, and then in image you want child image sharp. So it'll be the same query that we had before, I think.
Oh, I thought absolute path
And then
would be
in
interesting.
there will be Gatsby image data. So everything's the same as the query that we previously had. We just don't use the
but
URL.
look
Yeah,
at this. It's still
returned.
null. It's still null.
So in child image sharp,
Child image charge ID doesn't exist.
remove that absolute path and fields, Kyle, and all the rest of it, just so we can see what we're looking at.
Yeah, the absolute path should work.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because that should give us the actual path to the image.
We don't
If-
want the path to the image, though. We want the image data.
Yeah, but if the image is there, it should have an absolute path, shouldn't it?
Yeah, try querying all files.
Okay, I'll file, and then just do an.
Yeah, just like nodes and absolute paths.
Let's see. Yeah, there's max res default. Max. So they're there. They're just not being hooked up together. Maybe I need to do a clear again.
Let's just look at the code real quick. So it's like file at link from fields.kyle.
Well, maybe I forgot to save.
You might want to clear or clean rather thinking about it.
Since it's now but yeah, let's run over the code. So up here we were saying create schema customization with create type. On YouTube it should implement node, but then it should add an image key, I guess, that is linked as a file to fields.kyle. And then all the way at the bottom here, we are on create node. We are creating a remote file node to that image, to a YouTube image that is like hosted over on YouTube. And then we create a node field Kyle, and we set it to the ID of the file node.
So two things. I'm not sure if either
I'm gonna
are
check
relevant,
again.
but rather than it being a const, it might need to be a let, and we
We're
might
not doing
want to
anything
wrap.
to it.
Yeah, it does remain the same throughout. Well, does it? I don't know. It depends.
it's scoped within the function.
Yeah, that's what Oh, here we have some fun things. Field URL must not have a selection since type string has no subfields.
Yeah. So
But that is that's in the other. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's try this again. It might have just been me not like saving everything. That happens on stream sometimes, that I forgot to save. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I had forgotten to save. And there we go, child. It's child. Children.
Yeah,
It's
so
very
just-
hard to code on stream. You forget to save.
Yeah.
There we go. I have an absolute.
You
path.
should now see inside child image chart. If you did Gatsby Gatsby image data,
Mhm.
and then run that. If you remove all those other queries, so we can see what we're looking at.
Oh, No, I want to see everything else. Okay,
Okay. Yeah, so
placeholder,
there's-
fallback. Yeah.
There's all the Gatsby image goodness.
Yes,
Ooh.
try opening one of those files now. So if you go down in the results,
Mm-hmm.
scroll down. Just keep.
Oh, I've removed the old files thing,
Well, just like
but I can do this one,
like
just like static.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then if we do localhost, then it should be existing
Yeah.
somewhere on our static double
Yeah.
dash slash. There it is. It's our placeholder image. The beautiful
Yeah.
ship.
And then if you grab one of the source set ones, you can see one that's smaller too. Then.
Oh yeah, because then what here we have the other sizes. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe just pass in an option to like do it down to like 200 pixels wide or something. And get
Yeah, but we can. I think if we fix, because we already have this code as Paul, like you said,
sorry, yeah,
Paul. So if we go to our,
If you go to pages youtube.slug and show me the query at the bottom.
yeah, because before we used kind of the URL thing here. So
remove-
now we don't need that. We just
Yeah.
do the image sharp, and
Yeah.
then I guess we do the same thing on the index page.
Yeah, and I think we'll also need to modify what we pass through on line 24.
In what page? I've been
oh,
moving
hang
all
on.
over the place.
YouTube image. Oh no, that's fine. I'm just looking at my PR. What else did I change? There was something else.
Oh, this isn't.
Oh, it's in pages index.
Yeah.
And then did you change the use static query at the top?
Yeah, but then I guess I need to change it when I use it as well.
Yeah, so on line 70, it should just be video.image now, not video.image URL.
Yeah, I think. Oh, there it is.
On line 70, yeah. That
Yeah.
I think.
And I guess the same in the YouTube slug. We need to, in the YouTube page, we need to do the same.
Well, that just passes through the image object, so I think we'll be all right on that one.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, there you go. Look, image.url line.
I can't. I'm like, I'm looking at it, but it's like my eyes are. What line did you say?
24.
24. There it is. Like it's right in front of my eyes.
Yeah, that should be.
Okay. Okay. There we go.
What?
Yes.
There we go.
What?
Are you going to run a build and see if it works there before we deploy?
First the victory dance. Boop, 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 boop. That's in the victory dance.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay,
I was just
so
taking that,
let's try to do a build as you said, because that didn't work when we started this stream. So run build. Okay. Are there any other questions while
I have a
build?
question for Kyle.
Mhm.
Yes.
Are there any remaining little Kyle special Easter eggs in the code base that you put in like many years ago? Like any little cheeky things, like we've just called this type, fields.kyle, but like, is there anything like that we might be able to unearth because it might be quite fun?
Yeah, a lot of the I don't know, like a lot of the tests that I wrote early on, I don't know. Whenever I write tests, I just make up very random names. So that's probably still a lot of tests that I wrote. So probably something like that. Let's see if I can find that real quick.
I'd love to find something that's actually in the node modules though that still gets shipped to this day. That's like a bit of a cheeky Kyle special.
Yeah.
I have a tendency when I'm sort of working through things, rather than coming up with like a name for a variable, I'll just call it thing. But occasionally thing stays in the production code, which I know isn't very helpful, but it does occasionally happen. I'm like, what was thing? Why have I called it thing?
But I do think though, if you don't have any Easter eggs, it's like every Gatsby demo is made by Kyle. Like you must have the most packages up on GitHub than any person, because like I often forget to change that. So like half of my Gatsby projects, it's like author is still kind of at.
Oh, yeah, that's very outdated. It's not really me who makes those anymore. So.
No, but the ones that I started with, and then like you forget, or like the new Yeah, because I think still like the blog starter still has kind of that's got your face on it still.
That's true. That has my face on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the very first things I made. That was back in 2016 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, yeah. So I think pizza is my most common word.
Brilliant.
For some reason. So I put in the chat like searching for pizza in the code base. And
Yeah.
bunch of mentions.
I'm just we don't have to watch my code build. I promise I'm gonna get that computer. Because I did.
Oh, Kyle, this is great. I'm looking at this. Look at this. Is brilliant. This is so good.
You're looking at Kyle's test
Pizza.
code.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see pizza.
Oh yeah, one of them is called Iconic Pizza Time.
Oh, I've also found out a
Okay, I'm
whatever.
gonna share
A
it.
whatever's good as well.
Okay.
But
so
you
let me
must
share my
show us,
screen.
Paul.
I'm gonna show you.
Oh, it's in the chat. There's a link.
Yeah. Look at that, folks. There we have it.
Yes, pizza.
Hi, pizza. Content pizza. Pizza face.
Pizza face.
Pizza.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
Writing tests are boring, so you just kind of gotta entertain
mix it
yourself
up.
wherever you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there we go.
I
people.
do
If you
that.
wanna
Yeah.
use-
So
you
John
wanna
has a
test word
question.
pizza.
Yes.
A
John,
nitpick
Now I need
question.
to read it. I got the
in
John
John's
Okay.
voice.
A nitpick question. I find in Gatsby version 4, even 3, in develop, the images load slow or get stuck at the placeholder. No problem on build/serve/launch. Maybe it's my machine.
That is the most mob pirate lol I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
So the reason for that is back in the day, we did more work up front and develop. So like we would actually process all your images when you started the develop process, and that was really slow if you had more than a dozen or so. And so what V3 we moved image processing to kind of be on demand. So we only actually like transform your image when you first request it. So if you never request an image, then we never transform it. And so that's why in develop, it's like sometimes a bit slower the first time. But if you like refresh that same page, now that that transform image is cached, so it'll be much faster the second time. But then in builds, we do build out all the images, which means that as soon as you request them, they're returned.
Yeah. And we have success. I think we're actually going to manage to wrap this up on like the hour for once.
Yes.
And John says that you sound just like me. Bula.
I know.
John, can you send us a little soundbite? Can you record yourself doing an impression of Ula, doing an impression of you, and put it on Twitter?
But look at that, everyone. We are on localhost 9000, which is the build, the production build, and we have images. Yes. I mean, who would have thunk? We have thumbnails.
Amazing.
I feel like something with coding. It's like if you don't code yourself, you're like, why are they excited? Like images on a web page is pretty non-awesome.
Do you want us to riff a little bit while you merge that in and then get that Tailwind branch up and running, or is that too much for today? Because it'd be nice to have everything finished and pretty, because we did all that work last week and it was, or is that too much?
I mean, if there's
I'd like to talk to Kyle a bit more, quite frankly.
Okay, but if you do that, I'll keep my tab open or my screen open so people can see me like merging stuff, and then we can see if there's any issues or like merge conflicts and stuff. But I think Kyle has a hard deadline, so you have 8 minutes, Paul, to chat with Kyle, and then we can do our plugs after he's off.
No, he has a plug.
Yeah, well, Kyle can do his plug, and then why
don't we let Kyle do his plug first? Because then if he's got to go, my chatting is less important.
I'll share my screen then.
No, I have it here.
I did it. Oh, you did it? That's very good.
Yeah, so we're doing a webinar next week about Penn State's new site. You actually want to bring that up too? I put it in the chat as well. psu.edu. edu/news.
Isn't that the thing? Is it the wrong thing?
No,
No,
this is the webinar link, but I was also bringing up the website that we're going to be talking about in the webinar.
Oh,
Because this is Penn State, which is like a very large. It's Pennsylvania. A lot of people who aren't in the U.S. Penn is short for Pennsylvania. Anyways, so it's like a big, university here in the U.S. and they relaunched their like campus-wide news system on Gatsby and Drupal. psu.edu/news.
psu.edu.news.
Yeah.
It's in the private chat if you don't.
I'll do the private chat. I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so it's a really cool story because it's like a really critical, really big website. Gets like millions and millions of visitors.
Oh, there it is.
There's hundreds of people who are editing content for it, and yeah, it really kind of it kind of drove a lot of really nice refinements to the framework and to the Drupal integration. Into Gatsby Cloud, just to make sure it like ran really smoothly and really quickly for them. So, build times for this really big site are around 2 minutes right now, kind of like publish times. And preview times around 30 seconds. And then we have a bunch of projects planned, which is going to like bring down publish times, to under a minute pretty soon, and even further past that. So. It kind of really, has helped us have kind of like a nice test bed for improvements, and yeah, super proud of how it turned out. So you just like click around, like it's just like a really nice. They just done a really nice job. It's all static and hosted on Gatsby Cloud.
The fastest and the best.
Fastest and the best.
So,
Turtle.
so John has a pen question. I put it on the screen, Ola, if you want to read.
How long did the changeover take to go, Gatsby?
It was kind of like a full rebuild. So they were rebuilding everything from scratch. And I think it's been going on since like 2020 sometime when they started it. So roughly a year. But yeah, like I said, it was a big project.
Yeah.
There's just so many different departments and so on.
Yeah. So when John goes to this webinar, what's like if there's one thing that you would say that he would learn, like the one thing that if you must choose one thing that you would say?
Good question. I think it's like, a lot of people say like, oh, Gatsby's not a good fit for sites that change a lot or have a lot of content people or so on and so forth. And whatever. I think just like this is like a really good proof case of how well Gatsby scales. And that is like a really robust system for sort of like large, complicated sites like this.
Yeah, because they put new stuff up all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you look, like I can log into their dashboard and like see all the builds, and it's like every 5 minutes, they're updating the site, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Cool. That's cool.
And now you can chat, Paul.
Amazing. I've got Kyle. So
oh, too bad. I got to go now. No, just kidding.
Well, so this might be a bit of an edgy question, and don't feel
Ooh, are you going to be edgy?
No, don't feel like you have to answer. But
no, I will not dye my hair pink.
I mean, it should be Gatsby purple.
Right. Well,
so you know, and I know about some maybe future plans, like some exciting future things.
Secret,
but because we have,
you're now inside the bubble.
Well, yeah, exactly. And because we have trusted friends in our chat, is there anything that you could maybe tease or leak that might be of interest to? Because this is the Nattermob crew. They're trusted friends.
It doesn't go any further.
Nobody.
It's not online or anything. But is there anything you could like maybe leak?
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
Because I know there's a couple of things I'm really
I'm
excited about.
going to say is like Gatsby's always going to get like builds are getting faster and faster. So we have a bunch of things planned there to speed things up, and that's not like that's sort of a constant. Yeah, I think I already kind of did leak one earlier, so I can just read that again.
Re-leak.
A re-leak, if you will. Which is we're going to be bringing sort of access to your sort of Gatsby DB to functions and to like SSR.
Oh,
which will be
so okay, sorry. That got me very excited. Zip it, Benedicta. I'm quiet.
Yeah. So it's okay. So that just gives you because people are like, it's really nice to have access to all your data at build time, but wouldn't it be nice if you do it at runtime? There's just a lot of use cases for that. Like you have some sort of, faceted search thing, or you have like pagination or some sort of interactive widget where you want to be like pulling in different parts of your data depending on what they say. So that's like a big missing piece that we've wanted to fix forever. And so that's part of like Gatsby v4. So I was talking about earlier, just like why LMDB is so powerful is that now all of your data is in this file that we can like copy around. So we can like copy it out to, the functions, we can like copy it out to your function. And so when you do SSR, you can query. When you do, DSG, that's what it's doing under the hood. DSG is kind of like an automated, it's sort of like a pack. It's like DSG is a function, which is sort of doing everything automatically to generate the page. But like SSR, you'll be able to like run queries on the fly. With functions, you'll be able to run queries on the fly. And so, there's just a lot of power, like kind of new power that you'll get from that.
Yeah, I feel like Gatsby 4 is like it's the
beginning of an era.
Well, it's just like I'm excited for Gatsby 5, but Gatsby 4, I mean, maybe I'm too deep into this, but I can already see like the potential for some very, very exciting things. And I think, and I stand by this when I've said it several times before, like Gatsby are solving some very difficult problems, like problems that no one else is actually even trying to solve. And so like, yes, there's been some bumps in the road, but like this is exciting for a number of key reasons. But that data layer, and I don't think we should like skip over that, like Gatsby's kind of power, that data layer. I feel like there's more that could be done with it that is very exciting for me, hugely exciting for me, in fact. But I don't want to make you say anything that you're not allowed to say, Kyle. So.
Kyle, you have to go, don't you? Don't you have to go?
Yeah, you can bail out anytime.
Well, this is the last question because I think that's important to answer from John. Ola.
Okay, would you be able to see this database within Graphical to query it?
Yeah, so the database is like, it's more of like an implementation detail. It's like an under the hood change. So Graphical between like how you run queries between V3 and V4 is the same. It's just now when you run with V4, when you run a query, it's actually running a query against an actual database instead of sort of there was always a database, but in V3 and V4 is like an in-memory database. So it's just like a bunch of JavaScript objects like sitting in memory. But now those same like node objects are in LMDB. But either way, like the queries run the same way.
But so the answer is kind of no. The GraphQL is actually the query of that database. So yes, it is that data that you're querying. It's like you don't see the DB because it's an implementation detail. It's like hidden underneath the surface. But it's just what's cool about it is that you can now move the DB anywhere and kind of like quickly, pop it up. So like a function, the whole idea of a serverless function is that it's got to be like quick to start. But like starting Gatsby with V3 was slow because it had to like pull up a bunch of stuff. But with the DB, all you have to do is like pop up like what we call like a query engine. It's like we just like kind of pop up the query engine and then connect it to the DB,
and then instantly can start running queries. So it moves starting Gatsby from like, bigger sites could take like a minute plus to start, where now it's consistently just like a few seconds.
Yeah. Well, there you go, pirates. We've had a bit of a re-leak, but it's very kind of Kyle to share some maybe inside the circle of trust information, just to give you a bit of a teaser without blowing the coop. But it's good. It's interesting. My next question for Kyle. Oh, we've gone over time.
Well, he has to go. He's got to go.
Okay. Well, this can be a one-word answer. Kyle, will you be in or around New York between the middle of November and the beginning of January? Because I'll be there and I would like to meet you for a drink.
It's a mandate.
You don't have to answer that, Kyle. Let it be out a lawyer,
I have a hair point. No, I don't know.
Be right back. I'm going for a tunnel.
I don't think I mean, I'm actually probably going to be in Europe in December. So
What?
I mean, you'll be here, and I'll be like, over.
Is this deliberate to
you can
avoid
come
me?
visit us. You can visit us instead.
I don't. We're still figuring out where we're going to go exactly, because I'm going to a conference in Israel on December 15th, and so my wife and I are thinking like we're going to go together. It's like, well, we should hang out and do some other cool stuff. So we're trying to figure out where else we want to go.
Norway, of course. Come on.
Norway's cool. I'm not trying to say no.
And we're gonna have our traditional outdoor cinema in our backyard in like minus 10 Celsius.
Wow,
and you are of course invited. It's our Christmas tradition.
Yeah, it's like,
I go to the USA, Kyle comes to Europe. This is
you're so miffed.
so upset.
Sorry, Kyle. Sorry.
But the question is like, which country has the coolest Christmas stuff? So that's
Yes.
That's
Christmas stuff. What do you mean by stuff? Do you mean like
there's like Vienna
experiences?
Yeah.
No,
I don't remember.
Clearly, you got to go up there. That's the coolest. That's where Santa is. That's where Father Christmas is from.
No, Santa is from Norway. It's a place called Sandefjord. I'm not kidding.
No, now you just...
They have a museum and everything, and they have an enemy city in Finland which says that no, Santa is from our town. So yeah,
there's a competition.
Sweden.
Yeah, do they have an opinion on Santa? Like where it came
No,
from?
they don't have Santa. No.
They don't know. No, he's not from Sweden. No,
everyone's clear about that. Okay, it's just Finland and Norway that are
and Iceland, I think, is in the
what?
No, isn't it?
No,
yeah, no, and Russia, I think. Sorry, Russia has like a Santa place.
Of course,
but I think your kid is too little. But for a larger kid, I think our friends went to the Finland thing. It's more like a theme park, actually. The Santa,
Ooh.
But anyway, for grown-ups, Mom and I used to do like weekends in different cities in Europe for like Christmas shopping, which was like consisted of us like drinking in cafes mostly. But then I think it was Vienna or Prague that had like these really, really nice Christmas markets, and you would like buy a cup and then you would use that on like different stalls, and you could get like different types of glue wine or like non-alcoholic stuff, and then when you were done, you could either keep the cup as a souvenir or like give it back and get like half of the money back. So it's just like a recyclable or like a reusable thing. That was super nice.
Yeah, I was in Zagreb around
New
Year's Eve a few years ago, and it was apparently everyone goes there from all around, all the surrounding companies, because they have cheap warm wine or something, milled wine or something.
Yeah, that's what I said. So that's what they call like glue. It's like GL and then a U with the 2 dots over. Glue wine. Yeah, that's we call it glögg. Yeah, I really like
Paul,
it.
if you want to just like pop over to Berkeley, West Coast.
Paul is now gone. He got so mad he left the building.
So, but
or I wouldn't say mad. I would say disappointed.
So how long are you going to stay in Europe then?
But Kyle had to go, Olaf. We need to let him go.
Sorry.
Or something like that. It's a little TBD, but about a week and a half.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, cool.
Anyways, fun hanging out with y'all.
Yes.
You too.
Glad we got learned a new trick. So, okay, take care, y'all.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you-
So everybody who showed up now, this is our normal time for Europe. We have been on the American normal time for this stream because time zones
Well,
are a mess, y'all.
Well, it was me actually who screwed it up. So
Well, I don't think so anymore. Like, I of course blamed Ula earlier today,
But-
but then I looked at my communication and I kept saying CEST, CEST, which is summertime. So 8 o'clock summertime is actually 7 o'clock the time we are on now. So I've been like confusing everyone with my time zones issues.
Paul, you know, you are like ships. You're like ships sailing in the night, you know. You know what I'm saying?
Me and Kyle.
Just
Yeah.
passing
I know,
each other
I
in the
can't
night,
believe it.
you know? Yeah, like this. Oh no, hello, where are
The
you?
fact that I
How are
arrived in
you?"
the US is enough to make Kyle leave. That's it's rather worrying, isn't it?
But he said you should come to
Devastating, actually.
Berkeley. You should just go to Berkeley. It's cool over there, you know.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go
People
to
are-
Berkeley if Kyle's not there, am I? Like,
But he's not
what would be the point in that?
He's only staying in Europe for 1.5 weeks.
Last week, so
Well, wouldn't that be fun if I could be on Nattermob and then I'd be like, oh, who's this little special guest? And Kyle could just be here with me. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes,
I'm going to make it happen.
maybe.
Are you wrapping up? What did I
Okay,
miss? Are you
I
talking
am
through
wrapping
what
up. Well,
happened?
we let Kyle go.
Yeah,
since
fair
he,
enough. Didn't say goodbye.
um,
Devastating, but you know, I'm over it. Bit upset.
Oh, I just have to say, so John, they had
Yes.
it right. So we have to go through this time zone issue because when I schedule the streams, you know, the browser knows my local time. So it did it from my local time, not my time, like whatever time zone I said. So I said 8 o'clock local time. But then I wrote to everyone 8 o'clock CEST, which is Central European Summertime, because I've always, or all summer, I've been like, yeah, well, that's our time zone. But that is no longer our time zone. Our time zone is now CET. So without the S for summer. So 20 CEST was correct, but that is 7 o'clock or
Can't we
19
just do
o'clock.
UTC? Can't we just do UTC? That'd be easier, wouldn't it?
So yeah, so confusing because I didn't realize that CEST actually stood for summertime. I just thought it was like Central European time, but we have 2 time zones within 1 year if you use that time zone. So it's like, whoa. Anyway, yeah, when in doubt, I mean, whenever I code, I do it in UTC and I usually get it right. But when I do it in my head, I obviously am not getting it right. And then Ola and I kind of cross communicated because I was thinking CEST and he was thinking SET. And I mean, it's anywho, thank you for showing up, everyone.
By the way, built by Rebels is actually Nico.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Yes,
cool, Nico.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
donation
are you going
form.
to show us?
Yes,
Are you going to show us something?
Yeah, so I did the I merged and it worked, and we are now what you see on Nattermob.dev is the version 4 migration.
Can you show us some meta? Because we should be able to see the Gatsby version in the head somewhere. Shouldn't we? We should see a meta name generator.
Oh, sorry, I'm now we've been on at it for an hour. I'm like, now it's like, whew.
But
What
Nikita,
did we want
something
me to do?
smells burnt. Is your machine burning up? Can you feel it? Is it your machine?
No,
Is it
nothing
very
is
hot?
burning in my. No, nothing is
no?
burning on my end. No.
Actually, this would be a top tip anyway, in case anyone doesn't know. But
Yeah.
if you can chuck us over to nattermob.dev and just give me
Yeah.
some inspect element on the head tag, you should see a meta name. If you do it through dev tools, might
Oh yeah,
be-
sorry. I just like I was just looking to see if that had it. Okay, so if we go into the head,
You should see a meta tag called
Gatsby
generator.
4000.
Is it there? Can you
Yeah.
zoom in? There you go. So in your head tag, if you upgrade, too much. There you go. Generator Gatsby 4, and that's on.
And
that
also, I have
that's
this.
live.
I have this really cool extension called Vapalizer, and it will tell you what kind of frameworks different pages are using.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see if you're doing some research on like what type of tech a page is in. You can.
Are we using Varnish?
I think that Gatsby Under the Hood does.
That's Norwegian. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, but that's pretty cool, and it's also very cool if you like. I mean, now that Kyle isn't on anymore, we can do a little. If you go to Vapalizer on the Gatsby side, there are so many analytics. They have Full Story, Twitter, HubSpot, Heap, Matamo, LinkedIn, and Google Analytics.
Is that a problem?
And I only installed like half of those.
So yeah, so that's pretty fun. Anyway, do you have people over, Paul?
Yes. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's people in my house for the first time ever, other than me.
Who is it?
My friend Dryden.
Come on, show us. Come on. I mean, Sid showed us his
Dryden,
move.
you want to come on stream?
Yes. Yes.
He's the air has turned blue. He's swearing. I'll ask again in a moment.
The air has turned blue. What does that mean?
He was being rude.
Oh, okay.
You Brits.
Yeah, that's okay.
Do you want to come on stream, mate?
Yes.
Well, you're kind of on stream anyway.
Hello. Hello.
Nice to meet you. I can't hear you, but it's nice to finally meet you on our stream.
Dryden's watched the stream before, so Ula Benedicte, he knows who
sorry.
you are.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's like me. I feel like I'm meeting celebrities, so that's why I'm a bit shy.
Oh,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I said it was
Bye.
lovely to meet you. Bye-bye.
Happy Gatsby.
Yeah. There you go.
that's going to be our new word. So Nico, that is really interesting. Built by Rebels, because he saw the jQuery as being used on the Gatsby site. So I am guessing that one of these analytics are using jQuery or like one of these like other tools, and then that is pulled in.
Yeah, it could be a dependency of a dependency. Mm-hmm. Although, interestingly, at Contentful Fast Forward that I was attending this week, jQuery is not dead, and it's okay, apparently. I mean, I don't agree, but that's what the internet is saying.
We know the person who made that speech. It's Jane.
Oh, is it really?
Oh, did Jane do it?
Jane.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She came to our barbecue here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she works for a Norwegian company.
Okay.
Yeah. Anywho, let's wrap up. I'm going to do a little bit of summary, and we're not going to do a tailwind and all of that stuff because we now have merge conflicts because we've been waiting too long to merge our branches. So I'm going to fix that off screen because I'm pretty sure doing that on screen is just going to not work. So let me do a little bit of an, oh yeah, there you can see some merge changes. But let me head on over to, well, now I can't even do, oh my God.
Freebase cool that you had a visitor, Paul. That's real cool.
I know.
Look at that. Paul has friends. Who knew?
Yeah.
You should,
didn't I have is it feature? See, now we're going too long. Like I am not. Oh boy.
You know,
and don't even.
John has a question too.
Yeah, I was just looking.
Please do a question.
So, are you bringing it up, Ula? Is this the legacy depths issue?
Should we do it now? Let's do it now.
Yeah. So I got to be honest, John. I had some real issues with migration. I don't think it's Gatsby or legacy depths. I think it was down to either my NPM version my Yarn version or my Node version. But there's definitely some weird stuff that happens. And when I was working on the Nattermob site, the only way I could resolve it, because Benedict has been using npm, the only way I could resolve it was by upgrading Yarn and then using Yarn upgrade to install the depths. So I don't know. I don't know is the answer.
But I think one thing that I found is that if you try to update the different Gatsby plugins, like one by one, you will have this legacy problem, legacy path pair depths problem, because they then depend on different versions of Gatsby. But you can install several packages at one time. So if you do then Gatsby at latest, and then Gatsby image plugin at latest, and Gatsby, like all of your Gatsby plugins at the same time, and then hit enter, then I don't get those kind of issues. Or you just do the one where you you say errors out with the legacy pair depths. Okay, yeah.
So if you're using Yarn, I've just put in the chat, like Yarn upgrade -interactive -- latest. That worked for me, and that was on Yarn version. I'll just put it in the chat. Yarn. That's what I was dealing with. My npm just wouldn't do it, but Yarn did. So I don't know. I don't know why. npm, I don't think is as good as Yarn. Anyway, Yarn is the Yarn for me always seems to work better.
I tried to upgrade to Yarn and everything went to a poop. So
but you can't even get emojis on your computer, so don't you?
I have emojis now.
Oh, do you do? Okay, fine. Here's a pirate flag, or is it a grey square? We just don't know. Talk to me about that.
So I saw somebody questioning what time we will do this moving forward, and our plan was to do it on kind of at the time we have been doing it, because next week, Europe and the States sync up again in daylight savings time. But do let us know if an hour earlier is like preferable for somebody, because I think it is for Ola, because he wants to get to bed earlier. So let us know if an hour early, like this hour, if that worked well for you who are in Europe, and then let us know if you're in the States. It would be like even an hour. No, it would be synced up, so it would be this time next. I am just confused. Anywho,
no, you have to give a straight up answer. When is it?
So it would be an hour earlier for the. No, I can't think now.
It's going to be 8. Everybody will be synced, and then it will be 8 Central European time.
Yes, so set. Or if we're going to do it 7 sets, that would be an hour earlier for us.
But we're not doing it an hour earlier.
Well, that was what I was asking, if there would be interest in doing it an hour earlier. Anyway, that is...
There is interest, but we're not doing it.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. You get to listen to some internal debate. I'm going to do the summary, and then we're going to close out this episode.
Yes.
So today's topic was fixing an issue we have been seeing where our thumbnails weren't included when we were building that site after upgrading to version 4. And it turned out the issue was that we had been directly manipulating our Gatsby content nodes from YouTube, and that was undocumented and not recommended. So today we've fixed it to the recommended way, and that is to use create node field, which is you can grab it from the action or actions. And then instead of saying node.image, kind of directly manipulating that node object, we say create node field on this node with this name and this value. And that is then like the recommended or the documented way of doing it. And also, I think the docs haven't been that good on this, but several people have been seeing issues with this after upgrading to version 4. So the docs has also been updated now. And another fix we then did was we made our whole create schema customization easier, like simpler. And if you want to go check that out, you can go to the repo and you can look at the latest merged pull request, and you can see for yourself the changes that we did to go from version 3 to version 4. And that is good. And Petter, great question. Are there any social? Are there? No, I'm going to answer Petter.
I'm trying to put him on.
Are there any social channels for Nattermob besides YouTube? So we have been trying to get people to like engage in the discussions tab on the nattermob.dev repo. There are links in the description. That is under the Queen Raae organization. So if you head on over to GitHub and then Queen Raae, the Royal Playground, it's the first one pinned here. And if you then head on over to discussions, because discussions there you could have, like, nobody had any questions for Kyle in the discussion, but here, like, just pop anything in general or questions. And if you have a general Gatsby question, if you just want to hang out with other Gatsby folks, like, this is the place that we are thinking people can start communicating, and that would be that would be super fun.
And why do you use that?
I like it because it's more of a forum style thing. I'm already in it because of, I do my work on GitHub. So I really, and I like this more forum style instead of it just being like a long stream of chat. Like, at least I have enough like Slack and Discord where it just feels like everything's just like, it's like a wall of things just passing by me.
But have you an experience where it has worked?
If I have a very leading question, so yes, I do have an experience where it's worked. We used it for Gatsby Summer Functions, and we're also using it for the bootcamp starting tomorrow. So you can see here, I have some private things. So I have a bootcamp first function here. So inside the bootcamp private repo is where you get the starter files, where I will be sharing resources, where I'll be sharing videos and links to everything that is happening in the bootcamp. And there we also have a discussion tab, and it works really well. Folks are already helping each other figure out things that are actually like kind of outside of the bootcamp scope. But when you gather people who are interested in doing stuff with Gatsby, why not help each other out with stuff that are not specifically a serverless function? So if you head on over to the nattermob.dev, like, that would be a lot of fun if we could get that started in the discussions tab over there. And also I've set up this Queen Raae organization because, like, down in the future, we can make teams for people who are more engaged, and they will, then they will be allowed to do more stuff in the different repos and stuff like that. That's my what's it called? What do you call it? Leak. My leak of what's ahead in the future. But thank you for that question. And of course, remember to head on over to queen.raae.codes and sign up for the bootcamp. Even though you know how to make a serverless function, I think we're going to have a blast anyway. As I said, we're already hanging out in the discussion over there, helping each other out. And there will be co-working and other fun stuff. So check that out. Okay.
I'm doing something. Before
You're
I do
doing
it,
something.
I'm trying to create a Nattermob Twitter username. We might as well do this live. Unfortunately, Nattermob is already taken. What do you feel about ahoy Nattermob? Or ahoy pirates, or ahoy _ Nattermob?
Is ahoy pirate free?
Yeah, but then is that good? Because it's confusing branding.
But what about this nattermob.dev?
Oh, hang on. Nattermob.dev.
I don't think dots maybe are allowed.
Can't have a dot. We can have nattermob_.dev.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Petter says Nattermob pirates -pirates.
Well, Nattermob dev, all one word, works. Would that be good? I can't believe we're doing this live. Do you want to do it live, or do you want to think about it?
We shall not do it live. We shall Sounds scary, maybe. Yes, life is scary. I know that's not what you meant, better, but we have to cut this off.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm coming out of this. We'll sort that out another time.
Okay? This has been another Energize and rum fueled thirst treasure hunt in the sharky waters around the Gatsby Islands with Gatsby Deep Dive Queen Raae and her Nattermob pirates. Bye bye! Somebody must push the button because I'm playing.
Wave, Paul. Awkward wave.
Bye bye.
Oh, I can't.
La 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 la.